Diego, where's home? El Paso?
El Paso, yes, sir. So actually, we actually went to the same high school. So I graduated from Andrews.
So we're done.
Sir, yeah.
We're done.
When I heard that, I was like, oh man, we gotta get him on the pod for sure.
So Lauren, he went to Andrews.
Is that right?
Yes.
I hear that's the only.
That is the only high school in the Northeast.
It is.
See, even he says.
I've never heard of any other high school. And then my best friend, who does a podcast with me, but he got caught up at work. He actually went to Terrace Hills also. So.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, we're Northeast cats.
Dang, I like that. I like that.
So how's your day going, boss?
It's going great, man.
Yeah?
Good to see you.
Yes, sir. So this is episode number 46. So I was just telling Lauren right now that we started the podcast really just based on we wanted to like give people a platform to be able to share more about their really just their experiences with mental health, mainly just because when I was in high school and then once I went to college, I actually went to Arizona State. I just dealt with a lot of things that I guess I wasn't prepared for once leaving home and stuff. So after going through those things, and I started getting into like filmmaking and production and things like that. And so I guess I had the skill set to be able to like execute something like this.
Right.
And also just kind of merge the two of my experiences and just help people, give people a platform to like share their story just like I did, So
that is awesome. And thank you for doing that,
Yes, sir.
And of course, an Andrus Eagle would take on that challenge.
Yes,
So
sir.
thank you for doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, he went to Andrus as well. Class of.
Oh my God, you're gonna date me now. You're gonna date me now. I can tell you this: it was in the '80s. How about
in
that?
the '80s? Okay.
Yeah, old
awesome.
school.
And then you went to UTEP as well.
I went to UTEP, and I went to University of Texas El Paso. So go Miners. Graduated from the College of Business.
Awesome.
Got my Bachelor's of Administration degree, and I'm also distinguished alumni of the university.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So what was so you grew up in the Northeast, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
So what was your upbringing like at that time? Because let's be honest, like I feel like going back into like Andrus history, at least when I was coming up, like I heard a lot of stories, especially like in the 90s, that it wasn't the easiest high school to go to, So what was like the Northeast, and what was like your upbringing like around that time?
Yeah, so Northeast back, when my family arrived here in El Paso, I was 7 months old when we first got here, and we landed there in the Northeast. Grew up right off of Sun Valley and Bon Air.
Okay.
And went to Terrace Hills, and then I moved over to Andrus. And Northeast, I think oftentimes gets a bad rap, so it made me who I am today. You look at this, I came from the Northeast, I'm a product of the Northeast, and I'm running for mayor now. So super, super excited about that. My parents still live there.
Awesome.
And my kids' other grandparents live there. So all four of my kids' grandparents are still in the Northeast. I go there often. I was there yesterday.
Wow, okay.
But I think it was a different time. I think we didn't have access to social media as much as we did back then. Andrus High School, it was a melting pot of a lot of kids from the military. Were going to Andrus before they built Chapin. So the kids
never heard of Chapin. Nah,
there we go. I like that. Yeah, never heard of Chapin, Urban or Parkland. I love it. So it was more of a melting pot of kids that went to Andrus, and it was a fantastic school. It's the school that made me, and in fact, I'm one of Andrus's outstanding exes.
Wow.
But you're right. We had our challenges. We had a street that was right to kind of our south or north there called Mackinac. You remember that street?
Yes, sir.
So we had our fair share of fist fights. We didn't have guns mostly back then, or knives. So did we break out and have a fist fight every now and then? Absolutely. We did, and that's the way we kind of released our anger, our anxiety. We were built up with a lot of stuff, and the way to settle it was go into the quad or go out on the Mackinac and just duke it out. But it was no one really got majorly hurt, so that's how we did it back then. And again, times have changed, and when you went to Andrus, it probably got a little bit more difficult.
And so for you coming up, what do you feel is something? I guess when you look back, or maybe even till this day, that you might still have experiences with, what's something that you may have struggled with internally? Because I feel like everybody has something that they're working on or working towards on the inside, So what is something that you kind of had to deal with coming up?
Yeah, so coming up, there's a number of things, and I'm going to pivot into another direction. So, as you know, mental health, it's silent. You don't know who has it, and you don't wear it on you.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know who is struggling or has issues or problems that need to be addressed. So even for me, growing up in Northeast, you know, I had anxiety. I had sometimes depression. And I was able, fortunately enough, to work with various outlets. My family, certain friends were able to pull me out of that dark area.
Yeah. So your family was able, you were able to share that with your parents and everything. Okay.
Yeah, because you know, whether you're being bullied at school or whether you're having issues at school, you can have anxiety just for a test.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can tell you right now, I'm going to tell you something funny. What's really making me have a lot of anxiety is I have a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old, both girls, and that's driving me crazy right now.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, you know, because 1 out of every 4 Americans, about 26% of all Americans suffer for some type of mental health issue, and it's silent. You don't see it. So it's you got to make sure that you have outlets. You got to make sure that you have, whether it's the Relax app on your phone, whether you have a quiet space to meditate. You've got to make sure you get help because if you don't, it could lead to something pretty bad. You know, we've seen the numbers of suicides. You know, and most people that have committed suicide are clinically diagnosed with a mental health issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's all really amazing points, and because I'm like, I think every age group has gone through it, but especially like my peers, a lot of them that I talk to have like stories of them like being on the brink of like something really bad, you know, and it's definitely unfortunate, but at the same time, I think it's we're in a good time now where I think people are definitely talking about it a lot more. Especially once I started the podcast, I got just so many messages and different people just reaching out to me myself, just telling me about their own story,
Right.
saying that, just hearing you talk about these certain things with your guests and everything, I might not have an outlet to share with somebody else in my own life, but I know that someone else is going through it through listening to the podcast.
And I think it's important. I'm glad you touched on that because, we all go through something, but a lot of us have so much pride that we don't want to get the help. I've suffered from, everyone has anxiety, mental health issues. I have a family. You could only imagine what it is to have kids, and what anxiety that puts on you. I've had members of my family that have served in Afghanistan and received the highest award from the military, the Purple Heart. So, and to tell you that they're the same person that went to Afghanistan and came back, they're not. They're not. So it's very tough. It's tough. And mental health, if I could tell you anything about dealing with that, is you got to get help. You got to get help, and you got to swallow your pride and go out and talk to someone, find a safe place, and get help, because once it escalates, it's hard to get down from there.
For sure. And so you graduated from UTEP with a business degree,
right?
And then you ended up starting a business. Is it METI?
Medi,
okay.
METI. Yeah, we go.
Yeah, and is it engineering? Like, can you explain more about
METI?
METI?
So everyone says, "Oh, Renard, what do you do?" Yeah. So I own a company called, the full name is Management Engineering Technologies International Inc. It's a lot easier to say METI or METI. And what we do is we provide professional services to the military, primarily.
Okay.
So the men and women in uniform, I don't make anything, but I provide highly skilled people in the areas of IT, systems engineering, and cybersecurity. So, for example, if Fort Bliss was going to want someone to run a computer facility, I would bid on that contract and then provide the people.
Okay.
To run it.
So you're providing like the talent, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's
gotcha.
Yeah. You said it right.
Yeah.
I provide talent.
That's amazing. And so you have I don't know, I know one of the businesses for sure you've also started is the tequila company, El Perro Grande,
yeah.
which is also amazing.
Thank you.
So you definitely have your hands in a lot of different like business ventures and stuff, which I can relate to as well. So have you heard of Neat Collective? It's on Dyer Street. We actually just opened like maybe a year ago. It's a food truck park and a patio bar. We have like a lot of live entertainment.
Okay, what part of Dyer? You know, I'm from the Northeast.
Yes,
So.
right off 54.
Okay.
It's kind of close to that other school that we don't mention.
Okay, I know exactly where you're at now.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's awesome just to really just see that, especially someone who's running for mayor, like understands what it takes to like own, especially like a small business here in El Paso.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, because I guess in your past experience like as an entrepreneur, you're very successful. What has motivated you to step into and to want to run for mayor, especially because I mean you've been so successful in your other career, and I mean let's be honest, I'm sure running for mayor is probably really stressful and very taxing on your mental health and your body and everything. So what has motivated you to kind of take that leap?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, let me talk to the entrepreneurs out there. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. You know, I started my company while still a student at UTEP.
Wow.
Back in 1994. We turned 30 years old in February. But I can tell you, when I started my company, those were some of my darkest days, because I didn't really have major customers. I didn't have any major contracts, but I had a company and I knew I need to make payroll and do things like that. So that amount of stress on me was very, very stressful times when I started the company. But fast forward, we did well, and I surrounded myself with a good team. And the biggest thing I could tell entrepreneurs is don't be afraid to ask for help. Everyone needs a mentor. And in my life, my mentor happens to be my father. So, you reach out to your mentors, you ask people, hey, tell me how to prevent from walking through the wall, show me how to go through the door. And what that means is, Renard, how did you get financing? How did you do it? Tell me, walk me along the path. So I think us as entrepreneurs and us as folks trying to move our community forward should share some of the wisdom. So
Sure.
I'm here to share wisdom. So, you look at that, I've done a number of community things here in our community. I've been on the Boys and Girls Club board. I'm a former chairman of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I've been on the El Paso Association for the Performing Arts. I've also am a former board member of the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank. So
Wow.
done a lot of community involvement, not only here locally, but statewide. And, my father has raised us and says, you can't always take from the community. You have to give back.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So you have to give back. So that's one of the main reasons why I've decided that, I want to give back, and I want to give back to our community. And that's why I decided to run for mayor.
And so,
And I'm from the Northeast.
yes, awesome. That's my favorite part, honestly.
Yeah, there we go.
For someone who is maybe, graduating high school, and maybe he's going to college or even in college, because I went through it. I feel like a lot of the people I talk to, they feel very lost in a way, and they're not sure really, like, they're not fulfilled in a way. Like a lot of my peers, and I've went through that as well, so I can relate to it. For someone who's in that position, maybe they are very they know they want to do something. Obviously, they have the motivation, but they just feel lost in a way. What is some advice you would give to someone like that, just from the experiences like you've been through?
Yeah. So number one is going to be easy for me, and that's making sure you have a strong faith. So once you have that foundation, then you can start putting the building blocks on top. And what I mean by that is, once you come up with a plan and you surround yourself with just a few friends, not a lot of friends, not everyone's your friend, especially when you're going into business.
Yes.
So once you have a few friends that will be honest with you and tell you, that's the craziest thing you've ever thought of, and you vet your plan, you come up with a business plan, I think that will be the foundation to get you to move to the next level. I am a huge supporter of entrepreneurship. I believe that everyone should that wants to own a company or wants to own a business should. In fact, I mentored a young man about a month ago. He came to me and says, "Hey, Renard, I want to. I enjoy fixing broken phones. I enjoy doing that." And he says, "And I really want to take this to the next level." I said, "Okay, well, why don't we come up with a plan?" And what we ended up talking about was, this young man is probably going to be at a lot of the busy intersections with a tent and his collateral material out there saying, I can fix a phone. You pull in,
Wow.
the music is playing. I fix your phone and you go on your way. So it was a real creative idea that he came up with. But I think when you're struggling or you have, you're at a roadblock in your thinking, that you need to reach out and ask somebody. Don't be afraid. Again, if I can leave you with any message, don't be afraid to ask for help. And I'm the kind of guy, you call me, I'm gonna help you. I'm very, very impressed with what you got going here.
Thank you.
And to know you're from the Northeast, you get extra points on that one.
So I seen a few of the plans you have, like some of the key points you have for once you were to get into office. One of them is making El Paso like the number one safest city. Is in the country at one point, right?
Yeah.
So, because one thing that I noticed especially is especially when like going out, you notice that there's a lot of violence, especially in the nightlife and stuff, and a lot of other things going on as well. So, what are some plans, and how do you plan to implement, or what do you plan to implement to kind of help us get to that point?
That's a fantastic question, and I think for El Paso, we used to be the number one safest city in the nation, and now we're number 5. Our men and women, our public safety officers, are doing a phenomenal job. Okay, not fantastic, phenomenal, but they need more resources, and we've got to make sure that we keep our public safety officers in El Paso, and that they're not leaving to other communities because of the pay difference. So I think we need to boost up our public safety officers. We need to make sure that they've got the right resources, whether it's wages or whether it's equipment, whatever that magic and secret sauce we can come up with. I think we need to do that. I think you're seeing a lot of anxiety going back to the mental health. You start looking at FitFam, you see a lot of accidents, you see a lot of things happening, and it drives anxiety. It does that. So we can do a better job at taking our title back as the number one safest city. And I think most important is, and you touched on it, I want to make sure we can keep you guys here in El Paso. How do we keep the youth in El Paso? What do we need to do to make sure that you guys have an outlet, that you guys are happy to be in El Paso, and that you feel that this is your home and you're contributing?
Yes.
That's what is important to me. I can, on any given day, when you talk about quality of life, a lot of the youth are saying there's nothing for us to do here. Nothing.
Yeah. In a way I can relate to it, because I'm literally at this stage in my life. I love El Paso. Especially in the last year, I've met a lot of amazing people, made a lot of amazing connections. At the same time, a part of me feels like I want to move, and I want to explore a different city. And some of it is just my own curiosity, right? But at the same time, I feel like if certain things were in place, maybe I'd be more convinced to stay here and grow here and stuff. So yeah, what are maybe some things that you can see that we can, not just you, but we can do as a community to kind of get the ball rolling on that, especially?
Yeah, I think we need to come together as a community. I think we need to make sure that our youth are paid a livable wage. I think we need to create job opportunities here in our own community for you guys, that you can have a livable wage. You look at, the average house right now is about $270,000. If you're making minimum wage, it's very difficult for you to get to home ownership. So we've got to make sure, number one, that you have a livable wage here in our community, and that you have access to good jobs.
Yes.
And with that comes quality of life. You guys got to have outlets and things to do. We're getting ready to open our children's museum, which is fantastic. But, you have the baseball park, which is good. Hopefully there will be more soccer and things like that in our community. But we need to do everything that Austin pulls you to and have it right here in our own community. And why not?
Yes, I completely agree with that. One thing, just from my personal feelings, public transportation is a big thing for me. And I don't know, especially walking here in El Paso, it's not the most walkable city.
Right.
So at least from a public transportation, I think it would really help too, especially if people didn't have to drive everywhere, because it's that's where you see fit fam, you see all the accidents, you see all the drunk driving, like. And I feel like in other cities, people Uber a lot more. People, take the bus a lot more. People do these things a lot more. And for some reason here, we're just driving everywhere, even if it's like across town. Like, so I don't know. I feel like that's something like maybe we can like touch on maybe in the future. But I feel like that's a really big.
Well, see,
thing,
I love your vision, and when people think about our community, we got to dream big like that. Why don't we have a light rail system that runs up and down our I-10?
Yes.
Why not? Why don't we have Uber helicopters taking people to work from here to Blue Origins and Van Horn? Why not?
Yes.
Why don't we have Waymos in our community? The driverless cars.
Yes, I completely agree.
Do you see what I'm saying? So
For sure.
when it comes to public transportation, our bus systems, our metros that we can put in place, we need to think big and we need to dream big. Because if we fall short, you're still going to end up with something.
Yes, for
You're
sure.
going to end up with something. And I think, this city, the decisions that our city leaders are making today are for you guys in the future and your kids and your grandkids. I mean, so we've got to make sure we get this right.
Yes.
We got to get it right.
100%.
But we want you guys here. We want to focus on mental health because all of us suffer from it at one point in time in our lives. And I'm super, super excited about the future of El Paso and know that we could be so much more, but it's going to take you guys and all of us rowing in the same direction.
And just to, how much time we have? Sorry, 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
I guess just to like conclude, Mr. Johnson, how do you feel? Like, first of all, what do you love most about this city, and what makes the city different and unique, and also what makes you like feel like you're the right person to, really be the leader of El Paso and help us get to a place that we want to be at, and then our future generations want to be at.
You asked me the best question ever. And it's tough to, it's kind of like, which kid do you like better? I have so many things I love about this community. If I had to pick one, well, there's so many things. I'm gonna pick that I love the people. We have some of the nicest people in all of the United States, all over the world, right here in El Paso. They make you feel at home. The culture is one that I've embraced and I've loved for many, many years. So I would say it's the people, followed by our work ethic, followed by our warm hospitality. There's so many. I could just keep rattling on and on about all of the greatness that I love about El Paso. The weather, over 300 plus days of sunshine. So there's so many good things I love about the community. And to touch on what makes me different to be a mayor, you look at all of the things that I've done in my business. I've got an international business as well. You touched on a tequila company I started. I've employed thousands and thousands of employees in El Paso and throughout the United States and the world. And I give back to the community. You're talking to a guy that has scholarships at Texas Tech. My family has a scholarship at UTEP. So not only am I talking the talk, I walk the walk. I put back into the community. I want to make sure that we have a thriving community for everyone. I understand large budgets. I understand what it takes to be up at night when you can't make payroll. I know what that feels like. I know what that anxiety feels like. And, I've been there, done that. So I think with my view, my perspectives on the city will be different. I have some incredible relationships throughout the state of Texas as well as national. We can dream it. I'm going to go out and get it. I will leave you with this and say that, here in El Paso, far west Texas, and some of us will tell you this is where Texas begins, right here in El Paso. We have to go get ours. No one's going to just give us anything. So I promise you, I will be the mayor that will get up and go out and get it. If whatever we want, if it's in Austin or if it's in Dallas or San Antonio or Houston, Galveston, Corpus Christi, Laredo, Brownsville, wherever it's at, I'm going to go get it. Because we deserve it.
Yes, sir.
We deserve the best.
Being that there's especially when you look at social media, you look at the news, it's a very pressurized political environment, it feels like. And there's so much, just a lot of controversy, and I feel like there's a lot of people that may be a little bit pessimistic about the future and voting. And so what can you say to someone, especially my generation, who maybe feels a little bit there's no hope for the future, or a little bit pessimistic about it? And what can you say about the importance of them like going out to vote, especially here in their local like elections and stuff?
Yeah. So your greatest equalizer in life is the ability to go vote. That makes us all equal. I think, although at times you may get discouraged, you've got to look back in history and look at what has gotten us to where we are today that allows us to vote, specifically people of color. And you've got to exercise that. It's a right for you to go and vote. I think it's more important for the youth to understand that you are making a difference. If you don't vote, then you're not making a difference. So you've got to find that place and say, you know what, I'm going to make a change not only in my community but for my future. If you don't do that, then I mean, that's your greatest equalizer. You can go vote. Think about how many people have died for us to be able to vote. So why not go out and vote? I mean, so I encourage everyone that whether you haven't signed up to vote, to make sure you sign up to go vote. This is a very important election. This is going to be one of the most important elections in our lifetime. I mean, we've already witnessed history. You've seen a lot of things happen here in the last week or two that we've never seen before. Yeah. So you'll be able to tell your kids about this history making moment that you were living in. But it's incredibly important to vote and to help guide your community. That's what that does. If you pick the wrong person in the wrong office, that's the direction you may end up going. So you've got to go and say, you know what, I really love this guy Renard. He's going to be the best mayor in the world. We're going to go vote for Renard. So that's what we got to get done.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have with Mr. Johnson. I really appreciate you guys coming out and making time. I'm sure your schedule is like insane right now.
It's a little crazy, but you invite me back, I'll come back.
Yes, always.
Knowing that you're an Eagle, once an Eagle, always an Eagle, I'll be back.
Yes, we love to make it happen.
We're gonna do it.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Episode 46, Mr. Johnson. On top of, going to vote for you, is it in November as well?
November 5th is the election.
Okay. What are other ways people can help support you?
Oh, that was great, man. That was the best segue I've ever had. So I can tell you that you can go to renard4915.com. You can sign up to be a volunteer. You can come knock on doors with me. You can get to learn your community better. Volunteer, get involved. It is an incredible process. This is the first time that I'm doing it. And I can tell you how much I've learned about our community and how much better and much more respect I have for this community and the people that live here. So please go to renard4915.com, sign up, come out, work with us, walk with us, campaign with us, get to know me more. And that would be some of the best ways to do it.
Yes, sir. Awesome. All right, y'all. See you next time.